How will you do it? What is the thing that you like to do after doing this movie, seeing this movie? What is one thing you'll ask your mom and dad to do? Or you would do it yourself?
I would believe in myself and...
It's the second time this boy said it. Wow. Believe in yourself. Wow. Yesterday we were at another screening at Bobby what? Bobby Kumar. No? Bobby Kumar's. And there were two young boys, like same age. That's why I got attracted to ask the same boys. I had to ask these two boys, what is it in the movie for you? And one of them said, self-belief. Thank you, son. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
First of all, my name is Rishabh, and the movie was truly amazing. It's very inspiring and emotional. But my question is, what is your advice for children like me and other people to be strong like you?
I'm so happy to see this consistently happening with this age group of boys, asking the right question. I wish the same questions asked more back home too. But this is wonderful. Are you in the art of living? Then you are at the right place. You already getting what I was getting through my parents. You're getting through parents and your environment, which is enabling it. So, you're building your character already. Because finally we're all products of our character. And what is character? It's a bundle of habits. It's a synergy of all the right habits. It's good character. But if you leave any chunk out, that eats into the good character. The art of living is grooming you to become a great human being. Now, great human being is the whole, of which working for yourself to earn a living will be a part. So your work is going to come from this whole. And what you're doing is developing holistically. And in that whole, there's education, there's environment, there are friends. It's like education, environment, and experience. You are a product of every one of us is product of 3E. Education, environment, and experience. Do you know what you're going through right now? Is education, experience. This is an environment for you. What you've seen in this movie is an experience. And you have picked education out of it. That's what it is all about. As you grow up, you will be a holistic, great human being. You'll be a happy human being because who is holistically grown, of which work is one part, family is another part, friends is another part, etc. So what you do is continue to do the right thing which is being provided. Trust in this. Believe in this. Focus your time in such a way that all this remains balanced. You play at the right time. You educate yourself the right way. Right? Choose your friends very carefully. Choose your television programs very carefully. Right? Even books very carefully. So all these things you could be very, very selective. The key is develop the courage to say yes to the right things and to say no to the wrong things. Develop that courage to say, sorry, this is not possible at the moment. This can wait. This is not my need. And yes to that which, even if it's hard, to say, this is my need. It doesn't matter whether I'm small or big, but I've got the time to do it, and I've got the support system to do it, and I've got my willingness to do it, I'll do it. Many children don't have the art or the courage to say yes or no at this age. And then it goes muddled. And when it gets muddled, the time is lost. And what's the most precious thing for you? Your biggest tool is time. Time in hand, called the clock time, which will develop your psychological time as is considered by Eckhart, who says in the book, it says time and the cycle, there's a difference. What you have is the clock time. You have age on your side, which will develop your psychological time, which will be all that character of you. So I think this is what it is. Continue to be on the track, what you're doing. Believe on what you're doing. Trust your parents and your environment and get the best out of them every day. Before you sleep, reflect, what did I learn today? What did I say yes to the right thing? And why did I say no to the wrong thing, or I said yes to a wrong thing? Keep correcting it now. If you do that, you will be an amazing human being. I did it subtly, unconsciously, or subconsciously. You will do it consciously because you become aware of this. You've got this education now. I learned it just instinctively coming through the environment without knowing this is the right thing to do. Get it?
Question against India against corruption movement. There's this thinking in politicians in broader India, like even they go ahead and make statements and stress that some corruption is okay. It's not zero corruption. So it's against like what you stood for all your career. So how do we deal with that? How do we deal with people saying, okay, we are against India against corruption, but we are for India against corruption, but maybe from here to where we need to go, some corruption is okay. How do we deal with that?
You know, we've created if I would look at, we created a whole generation which accepts this. We've created a generation of give and take. We've created a generation of compromise. We've created a generation which said yes to the wrong things and the no to the right things. We have to recreate a whole new generation. Now you might just say, oh, that's impossible. Who's going to wait for the next 20 years? No. Next 10 years. This is the generation we need to work on. If we start working on this generation to say, this is not right, this is not correct. So what will happen is, then that small corruption will still happen, but it will happen out of sheer fear, under fear, taking a risk and taking a chance and not saying it's the right thing to do. It's saying, it's a risk taking, I get caught. It's like in America. When you drive on the road, what do? You take a risk if you overspeed or wrongly park, but you're afraid of getting caught. But you won't say this is the right thing to do. Right? But still happens. There are still people who break the rules somewhere knowingly, but they take a risk. They get caught and they say, oh, $2,000 gone. And if they don't get caught, they say, aaj bach gaya, kal nahi karunga. But they won't say that's the right thing to do. This is the generation. It's happened through an experience here. It's happened through an environment created. And it's also happened through a generation. So you created generations and the culture of that generation. And we as outsiders, when we come, we fit into that. Because the critical mass is saying, this is the right thing to do. I think that hasn't happened in India. There the critical mass is saying, compromise is the only way. Because the environment doesn't exist. So we have no choice but to do two things. One, we impose fear from the top. And that is what Jan Lokpal Bill was. Is to fear of such a high that if you get caught, you are shamed. And you're finished. You may still survive like Kalmadi does. He does. He is so thick-skinned that he goes around everywhere and says, I didn't fly away. I just don't know. In fact, you need to understand this man. How does he do it? Because sensitive people would have gone underground. But he's flying. He must be a different kind of human being. He needs to be actually researched and studied. So you have those kinds. Therefore, the law, which doesn't spare. Do you know if he was in America with this corruption, he would have been in for 50 years by now? The evidence was so overwhelming. Look what happened to Rajat Gupta here. They didn't bother. They didn't care who Rajat Gupta was, an icon of the country, and they finished him because they tapped him, they recorded, and even one small tape recording is enough to finish him. Just one tape recording between him and that Sri Lankan fellow who was a Rajaratnam. Just that one tape. And here we've had Radia tapes. And they're not even being, don't even know. They're not even translated. And the Supreme Court has recently ordered to say, for God's sake, translate them, put them, what do you say? Transcribe them. Look at the cultural differences we have. Totally two opposites. One, which is finished in 6 months here. There, 60 years, nothing will happen. So you need to, that's why we wanted to bring the bill which finishes the cases in 2 years' time. And you know who is there. And the money is recovered and returned to the National Exchequer to put the fear. But you also need a new generation alongside. And in the Hong Kong Anti-Corruption Authority, the Jan Lokpal Bill is drafted after the Hong Kong Anti-Corruption Authority. If you Google Hong Kong Anti-Corruption Authority, you will realize that they were in the 60s where we are in the 20s, 21. They were exactly like this many years ago. Rampant corruption like this. They brought in, people also took to the streets. They were in the same situation. People took to the streets and the Governor General had to appoint a commission, an independent Hong Kong Commission Against Corruption. And that is when they said there is need for a strong law. And they created a law. And you know, the first a year of that creation, 200 police officers were sent to jail. 200. Here, just few people need to go to jail. And things would change. But you need the law. So Hong Kong cleaned up, but Hong Kong law has one thing more, is creating a generation like this. It's got community participation in anti-corruption to create ethical values. That means if we had the law, then probably Sri Ravi Shankar ji would have been said, create a generation of these youngsters. They would have valued people like Gurudev. They would have valued people. They would have valued teachers. They would have created value teachers and all. Which means a bottom-up approach and means a top-down approach. In our country, neither has a top-down approach nor does it has a bottom-up approach. Top-down approach means fear. Bottom-up approach means creating a critical mass which would say no corruption is accepted. At the moment, you neither have the top nor you have the bottom, and that's why a generation can say thodi chalegi, kyunki business bhi to karna hai na, because that's the only way they can at the moment. But the solution lies in a top-down, bottom-up approach. And that's the only way the countries around the world who are high up in the integrity index have. Where community is involved like this in value-based education. And the fear of the law, nobody is scared. Here in America, you have a top-down approach, but you don't have a mass bottom-up approach. So families are basically left to create values in their own children. That's why you have a huge drug problem amongst adults. I was reading New York Times while driving down, and here they were asking a 12-year-old to get urine test to join a particular cricket club or a polo club or a sports club or a scrap club. Imagine a 12, which doesn't happen in India, because that problem doesn't exist there. But here it does. Why? Because you don't have a severe bottom approach, because you've taken prayer out of the system. And you think that's now left to individual selves what they want to do. To me, that's also very, very dangerous. So value, how do you bring back value-based, which integrates people rather than makes them into individual boxes? So that's this. Ideal is two approaches. And the failure is when you have neither. Halfway is when you have only one. By being role models themselves. No choice, no shortcut. Teachers be role models and parents be role. That means parents will have to modify themselves once they become parents. Because our children do suffer from the mistakes committed by parents. Like domestic violence in the house, it has a direct impact on the child. And you think the child can forget? He does not forget. He neither forgets nor forgives. He may still love you, but he neither forgets nor forgives. Whatever wrong parents do happen, none of us are trained in parenting. So we all learn by trial and error. How sad it is. Whereas pre-parenting training is a must for mother and a father, to my mind. And even relationships, even the in-laws relationship, we all learn by trial and error. Imagine most important aspects of our life, we're still not addressing. Parenting and parenting relationships. We are not trained. We only go by our own value systems and learn by trial and error. So I think these two things are still missing in society. And that's what many of the courses of Art of Living and others are addressing. But what a minuscule is getting, mass is not getting. Whereas the mass you have to again create a mass education on this if you want a better society, a peaceful society. Yes, sir? I'll come to you after.
Firstly, on the movie and observations, I have been following you more also as a sports person from my younger days. not many people know you have been an Asian champion with Nirupama Vasant's daughter, G. Vasant's daughter. That was one aspect I was hoping to see there. The second aspect, I think my personal thing is the amount of confidence you have given women in India is something. My wife is an example. Whenever we used to have our marital fights, if I was Kiran Bedi, you wouldn't fight with me like this. That's something, if you were to take an opinion poll in the country, I think you would come hands down on the kind of confidence you're giving. But having said that, I have two questions. The first question is, Guruji has always been telling change is going to come to India from the grassroots level. That's where, right from education awareness, you've been talking. How can we, being here in US, contribute to that change? I just wanted to hear your thoughts.
Increase your following. Reach out to every Indian family. Don't leave them out. That means reaching out as much as you can. Be where you don't exist. There are lots of ghettos of families and clusters of Indian which don't have this, what you are getting. Therefore, reach out. Reach out in a manner where they accept you. If they have a particular manner of faith and belief, fine, let it be. But talk value education then. I think, supposing they have their own guru, let their own guru be there. But every guru says the same thing which our guru says. So let that be. So encourage that. But every Indian family could be an example. You could be the change agent for India from outside India. You can be. Unite Indians here more and more. Rise above any other factor which is divisive. But value-based education. You need to celebrate India through value education. How do we celebrate India? Not as Gujaratis and Marathis, but as good Indians. Good Indians for the good world. How do we make a good world? As good Indians. So where all shades of opinion, all faiths come in and say, good Indians for a good India. Right? Peaceful Indians for a peaceful India. Honest Indians for an honest India. I think if we can create that kind of movement, only then will it happen. Otherwise you will remain islands. But you are very important islands. But connect these islands and make an ocean of it.
Hi, thank you. Firstly, I'm so thrilled to be here. I've seen you on TV, on the internet, and this is actually real. Like, you're a human being sitting in front of us, so thank you so much for making this happen. I noticed in the movie that a lot of times in your life, you were alone. You had to face many decisions. You had to face many events just by yourself. So how did you deal with that? And number two is, you made a lot of enemies in your movies. So this might sound a little harsh, but did you also make friends?